When we talk about finding the zeros of a function, the zero of a function means where does the function intersect the x-axis. So the phrase zeros of a function means x-intercepts. So anytime the directions say, what are the zeros? Or in this case, zero, because we're at most going to have one. What we're being asked is to find the x-intercept. And so we're going to find these by graphing. So we're going to graph these equations. They're linear equations. And then we're going to find at most 1, 0. And you'll see what I mean by at most 1. It's possible to have no zeros, as we'll see in just a little bit. So this first equation we have is written in function notation. We read this as f of x equals 3x plus 3. And just like any time that we've graphed so far, we find a few points on the graph, plot them on the Cartesian plane, and then connect the points with a line. So instead of making an x and y column, we're going to make an x and f of x column. F of x and y mean the same thing. The y coordinate and f of x are interchangeable. So we can choose whatever we want for our x values here. We're just going to plug them into the equation. And if we can choose whatever we want to choose some intelligent values, intelligent meaning easy to do the math with. So we're going to take whatever our x value is and multiply by 3. So we want values that are going to be easy to multiply by 3. Generally, I like to choose a negative number, 0, and a positive number. I like to have 3, as I've discussed before, just to make sure that all 3 are a straight line and I've done my math correctly. 0 is a wonderful number to use in almost all cases because multiplying by 0 is pretty simple. And then I like to have a negative and a positive, so I have a point on either side of the y-axis. So first we're going to do f of negative 1, which just means replace the x with negative 1. So 3 times negative 1 plus 3. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, and negative 3 plus 3 is 0. So our first coordinate pair is when x is negative 1, y is 0. So we're going to go negative 1, 0, and put a point right there. Okay, now let's do f of 0. That means replace the x with 0. So we've got 3 times 0 plus 3. And of course, 3 times 0 is 0, and 0 plus 3 is 3. So our next coordinate pair is when x is 0, y is 3. So that's going to be the coordinate 0, 3. And then finally, the last x value we chose was 1. So let's do f of 1. And f of 1 is going to be 3 times 1 plus 3. 3 times 1, of course, is 3, and 3 plus 3 is 6. So when x is 1, y is 6, so our coordinate pair is 1, 6, which is going to be right here. It looks like all of our points are in a straight line, so that gives me confidence that this has been done correctly. Let's go ahead and use our ruler to connect our points. There we go. And the 0 of the function is what we're asked to find, and it turns out one of the points, just by chance, that we chose when we were graphing this was the x-intercept. It was this point right here. Oops, this point right here, negative 1, 0. So negative 1, 0 is the 0 of the function because 0 of the function means x-intercept. All right, let's take a look at another one. This is f of x equals 6. Remember that f of x and y are interchangeable. So what this means is y equals 6. This graph is going to have a y value of 6 no matter what x is. So a set of coordinates we might use for this would be negative 1, 6, 0, 6, 2, 6, 7, 6, negative 354, 6. No matter what we choose for x, y always equals 6 because there is no x in the equation, there's nowhere to substitute a value of x, and that's because it doesn't matter what x is, y is 6 all the time. So what this looks like is a horizontal line going through 6. I'll just pick a few points to use just so we can have something to connect here. Here's our line. And that's our equation, f of x equals 6. It's a horizontal line going through 6. Where are the zeros of this function? Where does it cross the x-axis? It doesn't. Here's the x-axis right here. Where does that line cross the x-axis? It does not. So there are no zeros. There are no zeros of this function because it never touches the x-axis.